Diddy just can't catch a break, can he? Or perhaps it's the mainstream media that hasn't gotten tired of digging up his depressing deeds. I'm honestly not sure what to think anymore, but we all know that if there's one thing Diddy has proven, it's the fact that there's almost no bad deed he hasn't committed. Not too long ago, Lil Rod, an upcoming artist, revealed a shocking truth. He and a couple of other up-and-coming stars, both males and females, were being assaulted by higher-ups in the industry. Adding fuel to the fire, sources claim that Sean Diddy Combs allegedly forced his staff to carry and distribute drugs, with pink cocaine, or Tootsie, at the top of the list. And here's where things get eerily coincidental.
It's a drug you may have never heard about, but is now at the center of two headline-making stories. It is called pink cocaine, and it was allegedly used to get embattled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs' wild parties going.
This same drug was found in the system of the late Liam Payne, raising suspicions that have some people speculating. Could there be a dark connection? The accusations come as Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Diddy's former videographer, stepped forward with shocking allegations, claiming that Diddy's entire operation thrived on a toxic culture of drug use and harassment. In his 75-page lawsuit, he details how employees, from housekeepers to chefs, were required to handle substances like Tootsie, cocaine, GHB, and even weed gummies. As time went on, Rodney was really shocked by how wild Diddy's inner circle was. So it turns out Diddy was getting into some sketchy stuff and was pretty much flirting with women in ways that weren't exactly right. And to make things even worse, most of these women were either drunk or heavily drugged whenever Diddy was around. Rodney even told us that Diddy once spiked his drink and tried to make moves on him. But whenever he complained to Diddy's boss, he often heard something like, "That's just Diddy. You know how Diddy likes to do his thing." But that's just a lame excuse that makes it sound like Diddy can get away with anything. But Lil Rod wasn't just pointing fingers at Diddy. No, he was also blaming the whole crew. From big names in the music world like Universal Music Group's CEO, to Diddy's right-hand woman and even his own son, Justin. They're all named in the lawsuit, and when Lil Rod tried to speak up, he was shut down with a dismissive, "You know Sean will be Sean," from Combs' chief of staff. You want to know who else got caught up in all this drama, right? It's not just Diddy, it's everyone involved. Claiming she went so far as to say Young Miami's cousin was hanging out at Diddy's Miami mansion for a good time. At the start of the case, Diddy was really scared and was looking for some kind of reward. He's not slowing down. The story just gets more complicated now because Rodney also brought up Gooding's name, trying to shift the blame away from himself onto Diddy. We don't know all the details of the 75-page lawsuit, but we're sure it's going to be juicy. In the bits that were leaked, the public found out that Gooding groped and fondled Mr. Jones's legs, his upper inner thighs, and some other not-so-nice places. Gooding kept going until Jones pushed him off after he turned down his advances. In light of his recent guilty plea for assault and other charges, let's take a quick look at the highs and lows of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s Hollywood career. No, his story isn't a typical Hollywood success story. It's true that famous people in Hollywood have hurt his reputation, but let's not forget that Gooding Jr. also played a part in the negative side of his acting career. Gooding had a busy acting career in the late 90s, starring in movies and TV shows that got good reviews and even won an Oscar. But his reputation took a hit when he was accused of sexually assaulting several women. But that's not all. In June 2019, he was also caught up in a bar brawl in New York City. Prosecutors shared stories from 14 women across the U.S. as far back as 2011, which made things even worse. As if this weren't enough, Jones claims that Diddy's infamous freak-offs, multi-day drug-fueled parties where coercion was allegedly involved, were not just urban legends, but a regular part of Diddy's empire. Diddy's legal team, however, is sticking to their guns, dismissing Jones's allegations as nothing but a con man's cash grab. They insist they've got proof that he's lying, doubling down in their denial as raids of Combs' homes in LA and Miami have reportedly uncovered some damning evidence.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says 2 raids on properties owned by Sean Diddy Combs are part of an ongoing investigation.
So, it seems Diddy did everything he could to get this whole thing off the internet. But hey, I get why he did it. Imagine how bad it would be for his career and image to be linked to something like this. It's no wonder he went to these lengths. But I did find an article about it, and let me tell you, it was pretty nasty. The feds have been on his case for a while, and the fact that accusations against Diddy keep piling up just made him even more suspicious. And believe me, when I say they found out a ton of stuff, like how Diddy tried to hook up with Chris Brown when he was just a kid, Even though Chris Brown told this story a few years back, not many people believed it back then. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush, but it was pretty odd how Diddy asked Chris Brown to dance for him. I mean, why would a kid have to dance for Diddy at his place before he even gets signed? There's a rumor that it wasn't just about Chris's talent. Diddy wanted to play the role of mentor with benefits, with some secret plans for Chris to go to his puffy-flavored camp, if you catch my drift. But let's be clear, Diddy didn't change his mind about signing Chris because he wasn't talented enough. The big names like Def Jam and L.A. Reid were practically fighting over him back then. Chris reached out to Diddy to see which label was better, but it was Chris Brown's hesitation to dance to Diddy's style that really put him off. But here's where things really start to look fishy. Chris managed to dodge the bullet, but not everyone did. Take Usher as an example. Usher has been in the game for ages. He started making music when he was just 10, in the late 80s. By the time he was 13, he was signed by L.A. Reid, who was one of the biggest names in the business then. Reid took Usher under his wing and got him to mingle with other big names like Diddy. This is where things get weird. Diddy knew Usher before he was signed, and it said he started getting into some shady stuff with Usher when he was just 10, which is also when Usher kicked off his music career. People thought it was odd that Usher denied there were women at the parties before saying it was interesting, making people wonder if Usher was into something more than just music. In February, court papers showed that Combs' staff, from cooks to cleaners, were told to carry all sorts of drugs, like cocaine, ecstasy, and weed, especially focusing on a type called pink cocaine.
Popular party drug they're now finding on city streets. And it's also been named in a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs as one of his alleged go-to drugs.
This drug, also called 2C, is a risky mix of stuff like ketamine, meth, and MDMA. Liam Payne died after he fell off his hotel balcony in Buenos Aires.
Authorities in Argentina have confirmed to CBS News that One Direction singer Liam Payne has died.
People say Payne was hit hard by drugs and booze before he fell, and the first look at his body showed pink cocaine was there. The police in Argentina have gone into the hotel where Payne was staying to look for clues and talk to people who saw what happened. They're now looking into what happened right before Payne died, and they're supposed to finish checking out the drug tests this week. The Buenos Aires prosecutor's office has said Payne was by himself when he fell and was going through a tough time with drugs. Payne has talked a lot about his battles with addiction and being famous despite being loved by numerous people. After everything that went down with Rod, people have been asking questions and wondering if the same thing repeated itself with Liam. After all, Liam was another artist who had a lot of potential. A lot of producers were eyeing him after his stint with One Direction ended, and it wouldn't have been surprising if Diddy was one of those who reached out to him, albeit for somewhat mischievous reasons. People are wondering if Liam was drugged during one of Diddy's house parties and had probably gotten hooked on the drug, or worse, if Diddy is the mastermind behind a drug smuggling ring that is whispered to have been occurring for quite a while now. For now, it's a waiting game to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, but one thing's for sure, this lawsuit saga is far from over. That brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, click the bell icon to get instant notifications on new videos.